For food, time is both a friend and an enemy. Though there are many modern techniques for preserving food, the classical methods of pickling, air drying and smoking can produce a unique flavour very different from and even better than the flavour when fresh. Chinese people are still particularly fond of food preserved with traditional methods. The Wudang River originates in the lesser Hingan Mountains, meanders through a broad plain, and finally joins the Songhua River. This river has been nourishing the inhabitants of the eastern parts of the Songnen Plain for millennia. Every September, the region's fertile black earth produces the best rice in China. Soon after the rice is harvested, the fields are covered in snow. Local residents begin to store up Chinese cabbage for the long winter. Although it's no longer difficult to buy fresh cabbage in winter, they still like to make this special kind of pickled cabbage, which is even becoming popular worldwide. Jin Xuanji left her childhood by the Wudang River for Beijing as an adult. She misses the kimchi from her hometown.
今年之前我差不多有2、3年没有回老家了，忽闪忽闪的感觉，就像家乡在欢迎你的那种感觉。那时候就心情特别好，然后感觉也特别美。
Jin Xuanji's parents have lived here for more than 40 years. Her mother sends some of what she makes to her children living in the city.
고추 잘도 익었다. 너랑 고추도 있네? 이게?
Every year in July, Jin Xuanji's mother plants Chinese cabbage in her vegetable garden. It's a good variety of cabbage with a tight heart and tender leaves. This variety is the best for making kimchi. Today, Jin Xuanji is beginning to learn how to make kimchi from her mother.
이거 넣거든? 그래. 이거 넣고. 내려 중간에.
이렇게 놓고 가지고 하긴 나쁘잖아. 이렇게 대가리를 짜게 놓고.
대가리 이렇게? 응. 까다롭다야. 하면 되고 이렇게? 맞아? 응. 이렇게 보관해야지.
Some salt is mixed in with the split cabbage to remove some of the water. The stone has been worn smooth from many years of use to weigh down the pickled cabbage. Making kimchi before the winter arrives is a top priority for the villagers. Work begins at dawn. The most important step is marinating the cabbage with chili peppers, apples, pears, fish sauce and shrimp. Each family has its own recipe, but the recipe always includes dried peppers. Korean people make glutinous rice cakes for major holidays. Steamed rice is first beaten with a wooden hammer until it becomes fluffy. The glutinous rice cakes and pickled cabbage go together well. Women in the village traditionally help each other make kimchi. The courtyard is filled with the fragrance of chili. Each family in the village has a vegetable cellar where the cabbage is stored to ferment for half a month.
我去西藏啊，还去韩国什么的，很多地方都有这个花。偶尔会看得到的时候，我就觉得特别好，然后觉得很怀念那种小时候的那种的记忆。
Everyone likes good food. Most people find the pickled cabbage more appealing than the fresh. And the longer the pickling time, the richer the flavor. Kimchi is the main dish for tonight's supper. Kimchi comes in many varieties, and it can be served hot or cold. Every housewife believes her skill is the best.
好像自己找个理由，大家一起来聚做一些事情，然后就晚上会在一起吃饭、跳舞、唱歌。
While Jin Shunji's parents are busy making various kinds of pickled cabbage in the crisp autumn weather by the Hulan River, people in the warm south 4,000 kilometers away have different tastes. The weather and environment in the south are very different from that of the north, and so are the methods for food preservation and preferred tastes. Cured pork is indispensable for the people of hot and humid southern China. Originally, people cured fresh pork when the weather was hot to prevent it from going bad. But today, it's served year-round and even at formal dinners. One typical way to serve cured pork is steamed with rice. Making rice with cured pork is complicated and time-consuming. The temperature must be precisely controlled to ensure success. For the best results, the rice should be harvested 3 to 9 months before use. The rice is first cooked in a crock over a hot fire, then slowly cooked to allow the meat's juices to permeate the rice. Rice with cured pork is an ideal winter dish. Tian's family owns Hexing, a cured meat store. For 10 years, Tian has been the busiest person in his family in the morning. The store has built up a good reputation in the 60 years since its founding. Tian, his father and his uncle jointly operate the business. Nan cured duck is very popular among older people in Hong Kong. The meat is tender and the bones are crunchy. It is best for making duck with rice. Tian's store becomes a great place to visit in the autumn and winter for its exotic aromas. The most famous item in the store is sausage made in the family's own workshop. To ensure the quality of their products, the store's workshop has always been located near the store. The workshop still makes pork sausages by hand. The casing must be stored for a year before it can be used. After the casing is filled with cured pork, holes are poked in the casing to release the air. Workers tie off small sections with string to make neat, small links. It takes an experienced worker to do this well. In the past, sausages were sun-dried before storage. Because it's hard to get them dry enough in the humid weather, they're now dried in an oven. A week later, the fragrance of the sausages fills the entire workshop.
咁就其實因為香港係太多好多嘅各個國家嘅食物都會可以喺香港度食到，但係佢哋都會有份情意結，就係臘味係其實工場嘅師傅或者其他嘅同事都會係好繁忙咁樣。夏天最尾嗰段時間都係屬於熱嘅天氣嚟嘅，咁變咗仲會更加係會辛苦啲咯。好多而家嘅年青人咁樣啦，都唔係話太中意做啲好辛苦嘅工作，花多啲心機去認識下你自己做嘅嘢。你有冇花心機去認識你自己做嘅嘢咧？有冇去嘗試去花多啲嘅心力去做嘅裏邊獲得更大嘅成功感？我阿爺到我大伯同我爸爸都有份經歷嘅一個行業，咁亦都令我更加會係有動力去繼續做落去。
The Chinese have been enjoying cured meat for many centuries. An ancient and primitive kind of cured meat is found in a mountainous inland area of China far from Hong Kong. Shaanxi in western Hunan province is located on the line between eastern and western China, where the only roads are poor and run through steep mountains.
苗家的饮食是传女不传男的。我这一整套饮食的话，全部都是我妈妈传给我的。
Lung Yi, who grew up in this remote mountain village, had always been curious about the outside world. When the rice blooms in the 8th lunar month, people of the Miao ethnic group make salted fish. Lung Yi's brother is making a barrel of sturdy Chinese fur for salted fish.
就是做腌鱼的话呢，它必须要选荷花鱼以外，还有一个非常重要的环节，它就是什么呢？必须要有一个非常好的筒子。
The slats are tightened by hoop to prevent the fish from spoiling. The so-called rice blossom fish is, in fact, a kind of carp raised in rice paddies that like to eat the rice blossoms. Salted fish is to stir-fry some glutinous rice, the main seasoning.
新鲜的上好的这红辣椒，就刚从地里面摘的。黑生姜，因为生姜它去腥。还有山赖。 木姜子是必须要的，木姜子一般都是到山上采的。还有就是盐。来，把这扯进来吧。我们苗家叫荷花鱼。 然后那荷花的话，它含糖，营养成分也很好。然后的话，那鱼就长得很快，而且它的肉质啊特别的鲜美，吃起来很甜。
Several layers of fish are pressed with a heavy stone and are ready to eat 1 month later.
Hello. 我们都是最喜欢坐摩托车，因为坐摩托车相对我们以前没有公路的时候来说啊，那是特别好的享受了。读书的时候啊，虽然读得很苦，但是自己呢知道很努力，一定要走出去。就说我现在苦几年，以后我可能就幸福很久。烟鱼跟腊肉啊，在我们整个我读书期间的话呢，起了很大很大的作用。我妈妈他们就是给我们用那个玻璃瓶子啊，炒好大一瓶，全是烟鱼。有时候就是烟鱼里面放那个黄豆啊，或者是腊肉里面炒萝卜条呀，这样子带着走。
Winter in Jiangxi is very cold. As winter approaches, every family prepares cured pork.
非常均匀的切成一块一块的，要把它抹上盐，用苗家自己酿的米酒，把那个盐溶掉。
To the Miao, salted fish and cured pork are a symbol of a long-lasting tradition, as well as food.
一般是我们要赶课的话，就是早上3、4点钟就要起来。我妈妈就早上就3、4点的时候就开始送我啊，就送了几个坡以后，那个天呐，鱼肚白的时候啊，她就跟我说，她说，满雨啊，你走啊，你自己走了。现在天快亮了，你就自己走吧。这个天是越走越亮的，我要回家做事去了。然后我，哎呀，仗着胆子走。
Cured pork and salted fish helped a young Miao girl discover a brand new world. People living deep in the mountains in Huizhou also love salted fish.
治好以后，鱼的表面略呈这个铜绿色，鱼鳃是发红的。你闻起来臭，但吃起来很香。
The mandarin fish is a freshwater species unique to China. People in Huizhou use pickling or fermenting to preserve it.
你用筷子把这个鱼肉剥开，它里面的鱼肉是呈蒜瓣状的，一片一片的，很细嫩、很鲜美的。
Another typical Hui dish is called chopping board flavour. Salted pork is cut into thin slices on a camphor wood chopping board and left on the board until the wood absorbs the juices from the meat. The final dish is not greasy and has a subtle camphor aroma. Every family in the Yellow Mountain area hangs pork in their courtyard to make ham and salted pork. Chef Ye believes that the ham from his hometown is the best in the world, even though he knows that the ham from nearby Jinhua Zhejiang is better known. The lean and fragrant meat of Jinhua ham is red marbled with white. Jinhua ham is usually divided into 5 parts. This is said to be the best part. The famous Jiangsu and Zhejiang dish, fiery square dipped in honey, uses the best part, the fiery square, known as Jinhua, as the upper square. The long preparation begins by coating the ham with honey and then cooking it. The middle square is usually cut into strips and cooked with tendons and sea slugs to make the dish suitable for banquets. The other parts are used to make soup. Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Guangdong chefs use a broth prepared with Jinhua ham in their cuisine. The traditional way of making ham is greatly affected by the natural environment. Jinhua is surrounded by mountains, so climate and geographic conditions are similar to those in Huizhou. Some people think that Huizhou's chopping board flavour was the prototype for Jinhua ham. According to a folk tradition, Jinhua ham first appeared during the Song dynasty over 1,000 years ago, when it was included in the rations of Song army soldiers on expeditions. People now use modern, imported equipment to make ham, which has elements of both Chinese and Western flavour. Each pig's leg is massaged to ensure that the meat ferments uniformly. Heat and moisture must be carefully controlled during salting so that the leg absorbs the right amount of salt, which is less than in the past, to produce a healthier product. The salted pig's leg is allowed to ferment at least 30 months, which gives the meat a rich aroma. Some traditional ham dishes have been updated by reducing the salt content to make them healthier, and some new types can be eaten raw. Jinhua ham and indeed Jinhua itself are both changing with the times. Urbanites, meanwhile, often miss traditional foods. Older Shanghai residents are familiar with the dried foods from Jiangsu and Zhejiang sold in the Sanyang Southern Grocery Store. During Chinese New Year of 2012, the store sold 13,000 traditional Jinhua hams.
我1年时间我不用擦油的，因为都是火腿油，每天都是一天也不是去多少次手的。我们都是油，人说油是很值的。
Many types of salted and cured meat from Jiangsu and Zhejiang can be found in the store. The store sells braised ducks with soy sauce from Hangzhou, salted pork from Shanghai, salted croaker from Wenzhou, dried bamboo shoots from Ningbo, and dried fermented mustard leaf from Shaoxing for making steamed braised pork. The store is like a big exhibition of the food culture of Shanghai, a city of immigrants. Anyone who hasn't tasted Sister Wang's cuisine is not a real connoisseur. Sister Wang can cook Ningbo style, Shaoxing style, and Shanghai style dishes such as pork stewed in soy sauce, shrimp stewed in soy sauce, sauteed butterfish, braised spring bamboo shoots, and fried crab in wheat flour paste.
女人嘛，也好好穿衣服，不管我胖跟瘦，我也得去逛逛。朋友一起逛街，哎，我只要看到旁边有菜场，他们找不到我了。人呢，刚才买鞋的人呢，跑菜场去了。我情愿去逛菜场。
你呀，在外面。这么小的人就是买肉啦。
One of Sister Wang's best dishes is called drunken crab.
我从小喜欢吃菜，我爸妈呢就是喜欢做菜。上海的这弄堂房，一栋门进去有10几家人，到点了每家都在烧。我很小，我每家都得去看，这家烧什么，那家烧什么都看，我就喜欢学。
People in Jiangsu and Zhejiang have been preserving food and alcohol since ancient times. Eventually, it became a cooking style. Drunken crab and drunken shrimp are favorites of the local residents.
这脏的东西就在这里边，刷子要刷干净。你看，红吧，这膏多好，鲜红的。这些做这些，如果做到以后，这黄的东西变很黑的，越黑越好。
Strong liquor is poured over the freshwater crabs, which helps release the silt. Every cook has his own recipe. Sister Wang uses high-quality rice wine as part of her own secret recipe.
配料是每个人不一样的，我觉得我哪味料对我就放哪味料，蟹的那个鲜味要提出来，然后要香味要提出来。
Preservation in an airtight container is very important too.
上海人喜欢吃糟货，放点那猪蹄啊、鸡翅膀，那很香，下酒下饭都很厉害的东西。
Sister Wang places raw meat in a jar filled with distiller's grains.
糟的东西啊，放家里那个凉快点的地方，不要有。
is a common foodstuff in China, and it's found in many snacks popular in Fujian province. Xiapu, the oldest county in eastern Fujian province, has many bays in its long coastline. Local fishermen use them to cultivate laver. Today, Lin Renjuo, a Xiapu fisherman, is setting up more bamboo stalks in his ocean field.
我18岁那一年跟老爸学习种紫菜，我种了28年了。
Bamboo stalks from the mountain are prepared by breaking the partitions between sections before standing them up on the seabed.
海面上插的有分的有烂的，比较辛苦。
It's not easy making these 16-meter-long stalks stand up on the bottom of the sea. Lin has to inspect his field every day. When the tide goes out, the nets appear above the water, exposing the young laver to light and air. The nets disappear when the tide comes in again. Harvesting of the laver takes place between high and low tide. To bring out its flavor, laver must be cooked, and this changes its color and its cellular structure. Lin Renjuo has other work to do after the harvest. The actions of nature and man keep changing the scenery. At 5 a.m., fishermen in the Kohu township of Yunlin County, Taiwan, get up to do a job that is vital for their annual income. The salted roe of the snake-headed fish is a special delicacy from the southwestern coast of Taiwan. Because it's so dark in color, Japanese people call it tang ink. They regard it as one of the world's best delicacies. Snake-headed fish roe has in fact been one of the most valuable sea products from Taiwan for centuries. For about 10 days around the winter solstice, mature snake-headed fish move from the north along the coast to the warm area southwest of Taiwan to lay eggs. But wild fish stocks have dramatically declined over the past 10 years, so Taiwan fishermen have begun to raise the fish themselves. The roe of the snake-headed fish is very expensive, so local fishermen call their harvesting time the golden season. People in Kohu township raise snake-headed fish, which has to mature 3 to 4 years before the roe can be extracted to ensure the roe is large and plump. This region has become Taiwan's largest producer of the roe. The extracted roe is soaked in brine 4 to 5 hours, pressed with boards to squeeze out water, and then dried in the open air. The dried roe is plump and transparent with a yellow hue. The traditional roasting method best retains the original flavor. Before roasting, rice wine is sprinkled over the roe. The roasting time must be carefully controlled so the roe turns golden yellow and gives off a strong, tantalizing aroma when it is done. Adding daikon and green garlic can enhance the delicate flavor. Many restaurants have developed new ways to prepare the roe, serving it with vegetables, the meat of the snake-headed fish, and other things. A food connoisseur once said that the worst thing a cook could do was forget the salt. The salt is used to preserve food as well as enhance its flavour. Some scientists say that the history of humankind has followed the taste of salt. Residents of Dunhuang, famous for salt production, make various kinds of salted fish. Their traditional local products are a continuation of the history of their local delicacies. Residents in Dunhuang are prouder of their shrimp paste and shrimp sauce than they are of their salted fish. Shrimp paste is great for stir-fried dishes and steamed pork. This 100-year-old store has been managed by 4 generations of the same family. Guo Xiaofen, now 76, is a native of Dunhuang who's been making shrimp sauce for over 50 years.
蝦哥蝦醬咧，如果我哋本身咧，本月生嘅4月8已經有㗎啦，4月初8我哋講農曆嘅。嗰啲比較鮮味，嗰啲係香味，呢種咧係粗嘅，呢種係滑嘅。最後咧出嚟嗰時咪切一片片咯。
Making shrimp paste and shrimp sauce requires only salt and silvery shrimp, and preparation is also very simple. The salt and shrimp are pounded to a pulp, then spread on bamboo sieves and finally dried in the sun. Many people today want to reduce their salt intake, but this 100-year-old store still makes shrimp paste and shrimp sauce the old way.
以前做3種蝦嘅，點解3種咧？蝦膏、蝦醬、鹹蝦，有種蝦好鹹嘅喎，佢半隻蝦嘅，好鹹嘅。佢話食整鹹豆漿，有啲潮州人炸香餸粥。
This old wooden barrel used to hold nearly 3 tons of shrimp paste. The store is now managed by Guo Xiaofen and her son.
呢個我先生。
Guo Xiaofen married into the Zhang family when she was 20, after which she and her husband managed the store until he died in 2011.
即係做咗有1個月到啦，有20零日有員工飯食。佢係嗰晚咧就去食員工飯啦，嗰晚就喺酒樓咁跌到咁咩咯，就去咗。
It's winter, and Jin Xuanji is sowing the seeds in her Beijing garden that she brought back from her home village by the Hulan River. Her refrigerator is also filled with special foods that she brought back.
每次回家，就我会带一些很多这些东西，基本上这平时都不舍不得吃。
Now, Jin Xuanji can make pickled cabbages herself. It is the taste of salt, the taste of the mountains, the taste of the wind, the taste of clouds, the taste of time, and the taste of human emotions. They've been closely tied to the land, the people, hard work, and persistence for a very long time. They meet at the tip of the tongue and within the heart.